Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back. Will here, nerd venturing out into the comics realm once again with the previews books. Excuse any coughing I have, please. I've been a little nasally congested recently, so I'm sorry if I'm hacking a little bit, but nonetheless, I am here to bring you our monthly flip through of the previous book from Diamond Publishing or Diamond Catalog or whatever it is. It seems like every month we're getting more and more things. I did not pick up an Image Plus book this month. I don't know why. I just didn't have it at my store. But now Titan Comics is doing their own previews book as well. I'm not going to flip through that because I'm assuming it's going to be in here and there's nothing really that interesting in it. But just more stuff for you to sort through. There was also like a free DC previews thing, but it was just Harley Quinn page previews, and I'm not particularly interested in it. So we'll get to the Marvel book in a little bit. It's really thick this month, like quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to set that aside, and then we're going to look at this bad boy. However, before I mention this book, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the catalogs which have come out recently. I think in my last episode, I talked about how Marvel puts out... I think actually last previous episode I talked about how Amazon sometimes leaks book releases early by their publication date. So sometimes you can find things that are going to come out early. Now, usually what that means is, for example, I knew about everything that was coming out in this book in terms of collected editions, like the big ticket items that I'm interested in. I knew about them all early because of Amazon. But that usually is only kind of accurate to stuff that's coming out relatively close to now. There's also this other thing, and I don't know how you say it, if it's Hatchet Catalog, or I'm assuming that's how you say it, the Hatchet Catalog, which is like this catalog that Marvel and DC and a bunch of different people publish, all the major publishers, Dark Horse, Archie Comics, Boom, Dynamite. As far as I can tell, everybody does this. They put out basically like a product previews book, sort of for like the different halves of the year. So recently, the Winter 2016, Spring 2017 book came out. And I'll try to remember to link it down below. If not, please leave me a comment if I forget. But basically what it is it's like it's more long-reaching than... just a previous book. Like, I think it has stuff all the way up until like March or April of 2017. And I also think it's less definite. Like there's certain things about the content in the books that will change. But it basically is a preview sort of, I'm not sure if it's for investors or for publishers or what, comic book shop owners. I'm not exactly sure what the intended audience is, but you and I can read it online just the same as anybody else. So right now you can find DC's, Marvel's, and almost every other publisher's projected items out through like about March or April of 2017. There's some cool stuff in there, lots and lots of really cool stuff. Especially DC is stepping up their game quite considerably in regards to their classic omnibus lines, which I'll be talking about as we get through here. But just to let you know, if you are serious about previews and serious about collecting, there are ways besides these preview books to figure out what's going to be coming out almost up until a year away. I mean, there's certainly things that won't get announced until they're in the previews book, just because not everything is out is known a year out. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there. I'll try to remember to link them below and to give you an idea, and you can just kind of click around and search around yourself and see what's interesting to you. So right on to this previews. This is the August previews book for item shipping in October, I believe, 2016. You can see Archie Ramone's crossover on the side, Hawkman, Adam Strange on the cover, and then Moonshine. Looks kind of interesting. A new series from the creators of 100 Bullets, Azarella and Rizzo. So cool, looks cool. Let's get right into it, flip through, and see what we have to look forward to in October and the months beyond. So right off the bat, we are in Dark Horse territory. As always, I'm just going to flip through and see what looks interesting to me, stop and talk about it when I see something. This is kind of an interesting one I wanted to mention. This is the Conan Omnibus Volume 1, Birth of a Legend. So, this is, I think, a good thing. It's a little weird. So Dark Horse had previously released the Colossal Conan, which is sitting on the floor right beside me, and is freaking huge. It's a 50-issue omnibus, but it's the size of like an Absolute Edition or like a library edition, so it's gigantic. It's really unwieldy. It's really cool content, though. I'm about to finish it probably later today or tomorrow, and then I'm going to have a review on it. But since that book was originally cover priced at $150, I don't think a lot of people jumped on it. Since then, it has gone out of print, and now it is much more expensive, probably online anywhere from $225 to like $300, somewhere in that range. So what Dark Horse has decided to do is to print a paperback version of that content, the 0 through 50, in these Conan Omnibus volumes. So this is going to be the first Conan Omnibus. It collects 472 pages, and the Colossal Conan is about like 1,200 pages or so. So we're probably looking at like maybe, I don't know, it depends on how they decide to collect it, because there's a couple different ways you could collect it. But I think this is pretty cool. It unfortunately, it is a standard size paperback. I would love it if they basically did like deluxe hardcovers for this series, because the Colossal Conan is honestly like too big to really comfortably read for most people. But this is from Kurt Busiek, primarily is the writer, and Carrie Nord does most of the artwork, as well as a couple different pencilers who work in there as well. It's very cool. It's very classic sword and sorcery, classic Conan, and Carrie Nord's style is more like sword and sorcery illustration than it is kind of traditional comic book. I'm going to talk about the series when I review it, but just to let you know, if you're interested in, if you've been looking at Colossal Conan or have any interest in Colossal Conan, this is basically going to be an easier way to collect the series in these nicer, bigger tomes, sort of close to 500-page omnibus size. It's going to go on sale in December for $25. I think is a really good price for that amount of content, and it's a pretty solid series. So I'd recommend checking it out, because Colossal Conan is just both too expensive, difficult to come by, and unwieldy at this point. So I'm going to be unloading my copy relatively soon. But yeah, Conan from Kurt Busiek, very cool series. Here's some more I should mention just briefly, mostly because Creepy is really awesome. It's one of those ones that there's so many of them out there. This is volume 25 of the Creepy Archives. There's so many of them out there, and I am looking forward to collecting them eventually, but it's just not in the cards at the moment. 25 series is so many. It says down here also available Creepy Archives 5 through 23. So 1 through 4, I guess, are probably out of print. At least they're not available from Dark Horse. So if you're looking to collect these, you might want to grab some of those older ones, because I think they're getting harder to find. Creepy is just a classic Warren magazine, black and white kind of horror stories. These are nice oversized hardcovers in magazine size. I have the first volume of Creepy and the first volume of Eerie. I just haven't dug more into the collection. And then, in addition to that, Dark Horse partners with EC Comics to put out the EC Archives. So this is the Crime Suspense Stories, Volume 2. These are color versions of the classic stories. I am not totally wild about the colors. I kind of prefer black and white for EC stuff, but Jack Davis, you might recognize, he's the artist. I think this is his cover art. It looks like a Jack Davis thing. I'm not really sure. But Jack Davis, you might recognize, just passed away quite recently, so unfortunate that we lost. I think he was the last surviving artist from the original like EC lineup of really classic 50s illustrators. So if you're into older comic book archive stuff, Dark Horse has you covered with Creepy and EC Archives. They also put out Eerie and some other classic comic archives. So neat stuff. It is all on my radar eventually. It's just hard to get around to collecting 25 volumes of something, especially when they're $25 a pop. Here's one I wanted to mention. I'm a little bit disappointed in this because this is the Blade of the Immortal Omnibus Volume 1, but unfortunately it looks like it's going to be the 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, so it looks like it's going to be like manga size, I think, like more of like the sort of smaller size that like maybe the Lone Wolf and Cub omnibuses and stuff. I'm disappointed by that. I was hoping it was going to be a larger size book. I was hoping it was going to be like a standard size trade paperback because I believe if not Dark Horse, then somebody else at some point was putting out Blade of the Immortal comic books as individual like comic book size issues instead of like the smaller manga volume size. So I would like to read this. It's a cool series. It's quite a long running series, and it's like black and white, kind of hyper violent and stylized samurai, like fighting book. So it's interesting to me. I want to see what the actual omnibus looks like because on this other page, you see the Astro Boy stuff, and I've seen the Astro Boy Omni that Dark Horse is putting out, and they are fucking shit. They are awful. Like the fact that they're charging $20 for the quality and the reproduction is bad. The size of it is just awful. It's just an awful product, and so that worries me about Blade of the Immortal. I hope it is a higher quality product, and I hope the size and the reproduction is decent. It's weird. Dark Horse is sort of strange like that because mostly I think of them as being a company that provides really great value, but yeah, honestly, like their manga reprints are just terrible. The Astro Boy one is just disappointing me greatly. So I'm hoping the Blade of the Immortal is a more solid pickup. I really don't know just because I haven't seen what it looks like yet. But Astro Boy, screw you. I was so looking forward to collecting Astro Boy, and there's no way I'm going to give you money, Dark Horse, for something that looks that cheap. It's just so cheap. So that's about it for Dark Horse. Nothing amazingly interesting. A couple cool things, but mostly it looks just like a lot of a couple different art books and then a lot of different series from them. Just not a lot of collections coming out, which is a little bit unusual because basically in the last 5 months, I think almost every time I've done one of these flip throughs, we've had some library edition of some sort. So a little bit of a bummer, but next month I'm sure they'll be back with something cool. On to DC. Over here we have kind of a cool little thing for Baltimore Comic Con, which I will be going to. So if you are going to Baltimore Comic Con, please send me a message or something like that. Maybe we can do like a little hookup and just shake hands, say hi. But yeah, I'm going to be at Baltimore September 2nd and 3rd. Maybe not the 4th. I'm not quite sure. But I was able to get a press pass for that, which was exciting, my first press pass. So I'm going to go and cover that to whatever extent I can. Try to talk to people, and yeah, it should be cool. So let's get on to DC. Here's a couple of Young Animal books. I watched an interview with Gerard Way at Comic-Con. I watched a couple interviews with him talking about Young Animal, and I have to say I'm very glad that he is given the opportunity and the ability to write and to oversee this imprint. It seems like I don't know exactly what it's going to be like yet, but I think there's like 6 books starting out. I think these are the last 2 of the 6 books that are I think these are the last 2 of the 6 books. Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye, as well as Shade the Changing Girl. So looking forward to Young Animal, seeing what they bring to the table, just because I like the idea of a new imprint coming out with DC. So, and then Gerard Way's Doom Patrol getting its 2nd issue right there as well. Looks pretty cool. For most of these books, where they are double shipping, we're sort of in the 8 and 9 range for most of them. So I am going to do a video very soon talking about reevaluating DC Rebirth in the face of the launch of it, sort of rechecking in on some of the thoughts that I had. Because I think I am probably more positive about it now than I was originally. But yeah, lots of different books shipping out from DC. And now we're into some of the hardcovers and stuff. I have to say, I am very happy with what DC has been doing recently with hardcovers. For a long time, I thought DC was inferior in the way they were collecting their books, both in what they chose to collect as well as the quality of them. Now I think they're coming around and are doing a lot more interesting collection stuff. However, they still are puzzling me with the way they're collecting their newer series. I think they're doing a good job of collecting their classic series. Like, they've started this line of Silver Age Omnibus, there's Bronze Age Omnibus, and Golden Age Omnibus. And I think they are doing a very smart thing by doing that and putting these things out in like a consistent format that fans are interested in. But I have to say that I am still confused about things like this, Absolute Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. Now, I am super excited for this. I have not read any of this run. I've heard amazingly good things about it. This is a 36-issue run, I believe, from Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. This was the New 52 Wonder Woman. And this Absolute will collect 1 through 18 as well as number 0 from that run. Now, what's weird about it is that DC has put out regular-sized trade paperbacks and regular-sized hardcovers, but they have not collected it in an omnibus format or in deluxe hardcovers. They're going straight to Absolute. So, I think that's just a strange choice. I don't know what I don't know if the plan is like, because it's sort of backwards to me from the way, like, for example, Marvel would do it, where they would put it all out in paperback, then they would probably collect it in deluxe hardcovers, then they would probably collect it all in an omnibus. So, I guess in that sense, with Marvel, you get people that are buying the paperbacks first, then you get people that are buying the hardcovers, and then you get people that are upgrading to the omnibus, so you can kind of, like, grandfather people in. I guess that's sort of the money-making scheme from that side of it, is, like, you get people to upgrade as you buy. And from this side of it, it's kind of like, you put out the original hardcovers, and then you just go straight for the most premium edition, which at $125 for only 18 issues, I think a lot of people are going to pass on that. So I'm really not sure what the idea is. Like, it just seems like an odd way for me to me, it seems like an odd way to collect the newer content. They're doing the same thing with the Scott Snyder Batman run. It's just confusing. Like, they put out one Absolute edition of the first, like, 11 issues, and then they're putting out standard size, like, trade paperback collections, but nobody really knows if they're going to put out, like, an omnibus or if they're going to continue the Absolute lines. I think it's just an odd way to collect it. So, for me personally, I mean, I'm happy that this was announced, and I'm definitely want to get it, because I just have heard so much amazing things about it, so many amazing things, but I just don't really get why this format choice was chosen to collect that series off the bat, and why they didn't make, more accessible sort of an upgrade path for people who are interested in the series but don't want to pay that much. So, I don't know, that's a little confusing to me. I mean, I'm still excited about it. I think this was one of the things that I was looking forward to most to get collected in the last, 10 years, so I'm super glad to have it, but it's just a strange thing to me. I'm not really sure what the Absolute, going straight to Absolute is all about. Also up here we have The Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade Deluxe Edition, which is a prelude to The Dark Knight Returns. This is a recent release. It's only 80 pages, so it's sort of like graphic novel length, and it's only $18, but it's going to be, I think, an oversized hardcover with some type of story from John Romita Jr.'s arts, as well as Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello. It's sort of the same creative team from Dark Knight 3, so it's just like another story that they were doing. I think it kind of, like it says, is a prelude to The Dark Knight Returns, so maybe it's going to show us, like, how Joker became the way he is when we see him in The Dark Knight Returns, like, the original 1985 one. Over here, I just wanted to mention Adam Strange, The Silver Age, Volume 1 trade paperback. This is interesting to me because they have not solicited an Adam Strange Silver Age omnibus, which I hope to get. For most of the ones where they've put out under this, like, Silver Age line, we've had the omnibus before they've solicited trade paperbacks. So I'm not sure what that means, if maybe this is just not going to get an omnibus treatment or what, but that is a cool time period for comic books, so hopefully we will get an omnibus of that eventually, like we are getting for The Flash. This is The Flash Silver Age Omnibus Volume 2. I have what has de facto become The Flash Silver Age Omnibus Volume 1 on my shelf behind me. When that omnibus originally was put out, the Flash Omnibus, they weren't using this Silver Age naming convention or the or the the Just Jacket colored convention that they're doing now. So it's going to look different next to each other. I don't really care. But this one's coming out in January. It's going to pick up exactly where the other one left off, collecting Flash 133 through 163. So, and with a lot of good talent in there, Conrad Infantino, as well as Gardner Fox and John Broome penciling. So, well, I mean, John Broome and Gardner Fox writing, Conrad Infantino being the penciler who I am most interested in that. I'm looking forward to adding that to my Flash collection, and hopefully, like I said, I really love that DC is doing this. There's been a Batman Bronze Age book announced, as well as a Swamp Thing Bronze Age book. So, oh yeah, here you go. You get to that. So I'm extremely excited for all that, and I hope that DC keeps this classic collection thing going, because I would be willing to give them so much of my money if they keep doing this. This is what I was talking about. This is a resolicited thing. This was supposed to come out later this year, but I think they moved it to January, and I think they increased the price and also increased the content. So this collects, updated content and prices, all the previous orders. So this collects 74 through 109 of the Brave and the Bold. This is the Bronze Age series in like the 70s, I believe, and it has Denny O'Neil writing, one of the guys that I recognize, as well as Neil Adams and Jim Aparo on art, and then a couple other guys who I don't recognize as much. But I am very excited for that. I hope that, as I said before, I want DC to continue to collect these in omnibus format. There have been these things called like Tales of the Batman and different like collections of Batman stories, but they've been standard size hardcovers, and I've kind of not jumped in on them as much because I was going to wait until DC started doing things like this, and it looks like they're going to start doing things like this. So I am excited to see that. I had that pre-ordered on Amazon for like $40 because it was originally solicited at $100. So I am glad that I got it pre-ordered for $45, and Amazon's still going to value. What's the word? They're still going to. Why am I blanking on this? Hold that price. I don't know. Honor. There you go. They're still going to honor that price. So it's nice that I will be getting that for a decent price. And here's a couple things from Vertigo. Not that much I'm looking forward to, but this does look cool to me. The Unwritten, the deluxe edition. I don't know that much about this series, but I do know that people online have talked about how it's like kind of a sleeper hit amongst Vertigo titles. So cool to get this in a deluxe edition. I have no idea how many issues are in this series, The Unwritten. I think it was like at least 5 or 6 trade paperbacks, so hopefully we'll get like maybe 3 or 4 deluxe editions. It'll be nice to add to the stack of Vertigo deluxe editions that are already out there. So pretty decent offerings from DC. I'm really glad that they're getting smart about collecting their classic stuff, even if it is a little bit confusing to me how they're collecting their newer runs. I'm not sure what the ideas are. And now on to IDW. This is still all of the Revolution crossover that IDW is doing between all of their different properties, which I'm not interested in, but if you are into IDW, perhaps you are. This is a cool artist edition. This is the artist edition for this month. It is the Alex Toth's Bravo for Adventure artist edition. Alex Toth is a cool creator. He's kind of somebody who is like born in the wrong time. Like it feels like he should have been born and part of the same generation of like Alex Raymond and Hal Foster and that kind of thing. Like his stuff is older than that, or it's more recent than that rather. But it feels like it belongs kind of in like the classic adventure strip kind of thing. So this is his artist edition for Bravo for Adventure. I have seen the Bravo for Adventure like hardcover around. It's at a bunch of different stores near me, but I've never quite jumped on it. But this is going to be 135 pages. It is going to be 12 pages on coloring. It's going to be basically the complete original art for Bravo for Adventure. So I'm guessing it's going to collect the entire thing, because it's not, Bravo for Adventure is not huge, and the hardcovers I've seen are not super large, so I'm guessing it's going to collect the entire thing, and it says it's going to also have some original coloring from him, which never saw print. Yeah, so very cool. Alex Toth is an awesome artist. Like I said, very indebted to classic comic strip and black and white stuff. So if you are into his stuff, or kind of classic adventure comics and adventure like Sunday strips and things, this might be one to check out. Certainly more expensive as artist editions are, but early solicit for December is going to be probably at least $125 or something like that. So very neat. Here's some good stuff in here. This is Batman the Silver Age newspaper comics. At the same time that Batman was running as, regular comic books, or whatever you might call regular comic books, magazine-style comic books, he was also still being worked on as a newspaper property. So this is the third volume, which collects dailies and Sundays from 1969 to 1972. So if you like the Batman newspaper strip stuff, IDW has you covered. This is very cool. I've been wanting to jump on Steve Canyon for a while. This is volume 7 of Steve Canyon, 1959 to 1960. This is by Milton Caniff, or Caniff. I'm just going to say Caniff. He was the artist and writer of Terry and the Pirates. Terry and the Pirates. I'm pretty sure that's the right name. And he then left Terry and the Pirates to work on Steve Canyon. It's very cool art style. IDW has been doing a bunch of neat reprints of this stuff. They're on volume 7 right now. I haven't picked any of it up, but I'm going to eventually. It's just one of those things that's on my back burner. As well as Little Orphan Annie. Haven't read any of that, but that is another strip that IDW has rights to republish, and they are doing a good job with it. IDW's Library of American Comics line is really awesome. LOAC, I think, is conventionally known as, or that's what they call it, Library of American Comics. They produce all kinds of really great stuff from the 30s all the way up into the 60s and 70s, obviously, with Batman and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would recommend going on IDW's site or taking a look at the different LOAC stuff that is available, because it really does collect some classic art. Really great stuff. And yeah, I guess that's it for IDW. A little bit in here. Artist edition seems kind of cool, and then of course, comic strips I am getting more and more into every day, so I'm glad to see more of that stuff being collected, but nothing really amazing from IDW. And on to Image Comics we go. Mark Millar and Greg Capullo, Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo, Brian Buccoletto and Jennifer... I don't know who those people are, but these other two creative teams are really good. Yeah, all very cool stuff. Especially Mark Millar and Greg Capullo. That's neat. It depends on what... Mark Millar is pretty prone to writing like 6 issues and then dipping out once it gets picked up for a movie. So I guess we'll see if this actually goes anywhere. But Greg Capullo, I think, is a super strong artist. I mean, these panels look really cool. So I would be glad to read that from them, definitely. Here's a good one that I've been looking forward to, the Alex plus Ada, or Alex and Ada Complete Collection Deluxe Edition. This collects the 15-issue Alex and Ada series, which is about a guy and an android, I think. Yeah, Ada, who's the android, and it looks it looks very cool. It's from Jonathan Luna, who wrote the story with Sarah Vaughn, and then he also did the art. If you're into the Luna Brothers stuff, it looks very similar to the Luna Brothers stuff. I'm not super wild about Luna Brothers things. I read Ultra 7 Days, and I thought it was pretty meh. But I've heard talked about in a really positive light, so I will probably be picking it up. This is an advanced solicit for November. It's going to be $50 for an oversized complete collection. So, very cool. This was kind of a weird one. This came out really recently, actually. July 20th. It just came out, and it's on in-stock trades right now and some other things. It's a limited hardcover, limited edition. It's $40 for a regular size hardcover that's only 5 issues. So I passed on it. I think a lot of people probably passed on it, but if you were into Plutona, which was the Jeff Lemire, Emmy Lennox combo book that they were putting out for Image, it does exist. This was sort of just released. I don't know if it's going to sell out and then be expensive because it's limited. I don't really know, but for just 5 issues, it's a little pricey for me. But yeah, it exists if you are interested in it. And I think that's it for Image. As per usual with Image, I'll say my standard thing. They have so many amazing series coming out. Like, Image is one that you just have to dig into and decide on your own. There's so much great things, or so many great things going on there. So many awesome stories that different people are telling, and just really a variety of styles and stuff. So, go and check that out for yourself, because I can't, show it all to you. But in terms of collections, Alex and Ada does look neat. The rest of it, I don't really know about the other collections. But yeah, so much stuff from Image. Just go check them out. Do yourself a favor and get in on some of that creator-owned stuff. And we will take a momentary break while I get a sip of water, and then I will come back for the Marvel previews. All right, let's get right back into it with the Marvel's Previews book. Like I said, very thick this month. There's a lot of stuff, mostly just not collection-based stuff, just a lot of different books going on right now. So let's do a little flip through, and then we'll get to the collections and see what's up. I did want to stop on this real quick and just mention it. This does look neat to me. It is Cage, number 1 of 4, a miniseries from Genndy Tartakovsky. Tartakovsky, hopefully that's not too butchered, is the creator and director and all that stuff of Samurai Jack. So if you were into Samurai Jack, I believe he also did, the Clone Wars, the original animated Clone Wars series before it was CGI. I think he did that. So this looks cool. It looks kind of like a throwback to an older school 70s like Shaft style Luke Cage. Looks interesting, and I like his style of action and character creation is very exaggerated and kind of very interesting. So if you're into, here you go, Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, Hotel Transylvania, if you're into any of that stuff, Genndy Tartakovsky is going to be doing a Cage miniseries. Kind of cool. Okay, finally we're into some collections. I have a lot of stuff to say, actually, about Marvel right now, but I'm going to save that for the video that I'm going to make either tomorrow or very soon about Marvel and DC and the directions they're heading. I have a lot of things to say about Marvel. I will say some of those things right now, though, with these collections. So, first off, we have the Daredevil Omnibus, Volume 1. Very cool. I am happy to see this. This is one of the last. There's a couple more series from the Silver Age of Marvel Comics that have not been collected in omnibus format. This is one of the last couple ones. This is the Daredevil Silver Age Omnibus. I think it is. This was a series that I think is generally considered to be good, but not near the level of a lot of different things that were going on at this time. It was kind of like one of like the B heroes. So this is going to collect Daredevil 1 through 41, the first Daredevil annual, as well as a Fantastic Four issue that Daredevil crossed over with, as well as Not Brand Ek number 4. So this is going to be $125 1,000-page omnibus, so pretty big. It's it will be a nice thing to have in the Silver Age Marvel collection. One day I would love to get all of those books in omnibus format. However, I am a little bit disappointed, and this is part of my frustration with the way that Marvel is collecting their stuff now. If you look at these collections that are coming out, It seems like they are very focused on what is hot at the moment, and it feels like Marvel's collections department is more reactionary than it is kind of progressive or proactive on their own. Like they're not sort of defining what they find interesting from their back catalog as much as they're being like, oh, Daredevil, he has a Netflix series, and Defenders is coming out, Daredevil Season 3 is coming out, so let's start reprinting all this Daredevil stuff. And then like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is hot right now, so let's collect all these Guardians omnibus, and let's collect all of the different cosmic stuff, because people want to read that. And like, oh, Deadpool is huge right now, so let's put out a Deadpool Adamantium collection, and a Deadpool omnibus, and all these things. Like, it's just, to me, I don't like that kind of style for choosing, and it feels like Marvel is doing that. They're being much more reactionary with their stuff. So while part of me is very happy that we're getting a Daredevil omnibus for the Silver Age stuff, another part of me is a little bit disappointed that, you know, it follows up a bunch of different Daredevil printings and reprintings of other Daredevil omnibus. I just, sometimes I wish that they took a more of a stand in like going off in different directions and collecting kind of more interesting stuff from their back catalog, rather than just hitting on what's hot right now. You know, an example of that would be this War of Kings Aftermath, Realm of Kings omnibus. So there have been, this is weird. There was a Guardians of the Galaxy from Abnett and Lanning omnibus a couple months ago. It collected like 1 through 26 or something like that of the Guardians of the Galaxy series. Something like that. I don't remember how many it is. I have it behind me, but I haven't read it. And then after that, more recently, there have been these 3 omnibus announced, which are the War of Kings Aftermath, Road to War of Kings, and War of Kings itself. Now, through these 3 omnis, that Guardians of the Galaxy material that was in its own separate omnibus is all going to be collected, spread out across these 3 omnibus. It's a very strange thing to me. It feels kind of skeevy. It feels skeevy and sort of cash grabby to have put out the Guardians Omni first without any mention or any idea from anybody that these other ones were going to come out later. I kind of understand it. Like, I get it in the sense that that Guardians run is really popular and maybe you just want to be able to read it on its own. You know, if somebody walks into a store and says, I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, at the movie theater, what do I need to read to get everything on them? Then it would be very easy to point them to the omnibus and be like, look, there it is. This is the collection. This is everything from Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's the 26 issues. Go have fun. You know, and I get that. Like, that is convenient and that is nice. But it does feel odd or slightly disingenuous that they would put that out first before the entire run was collected in other places, you know, probably by people that are going to want to collect these books. So basically this is going to be the Realm of Kings omnibus, which is the War of Kings Aftermath, and then there's also going to be 2 other omnibus which complete the Realm and War of Kings story. So altogether there will be 5 modern cosmic Marvel Omni, the Annihilation Omni, the Annihilation Conquest, and then the 3 War and Realm of Kings Omni, and that will collect basically all of the Abnett and Lanning modern Marvel cosmic stuff. So that's very cool. I'm glad that we're going to have those 5. Like I said, it just feels a little frustrating that, one, it's one of those instances where like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is hot right now, so let's, you know, pump stuff out for that. And then 2, it feels like an instance of being a little bit shoddy with the way you present and package things, you know, by having people buy the Guardians Omnibus before you ever let them know that another version exists. So, yeah, but I mean, I'm still excited. I don't really care that I bought the Guardians Omnibus. I'm still fine with having it on my shelf. I'm not like, you know, somebody who's really uptight about that. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I'm just thinking for people who are more exclusive or who, you know, are more detailed about their collecting, that is kind of a frustrating, like, kind of loophole or like a little inconsistency that Marvel has gotten away with. On this page we have the Alpha Flight by John Byrne omnibus. John Byrne marches on. I mean, Marvel's been collecting a lot of John Byrne stuff recently. There was the like Marvel Universe by John Byrne. There was just an Avengers by John Byrne, and now there's an Alpha Flight by John Byrne. I am excited to see this. I don't know much about it. I think it's kind of like the Canadian X-Men to some extent, from what I understand. But it has tons of different creators on here: Claremont, Byrne, Roger Stern, John Cassaday as well, which is interesting, Louis Simonson, as well as pencilers such as John Byrne, Sal Buscema, Steve Ditko, Mike Mignola, I mean, that's a crazy collection of quality right there. So basically, it's going to collect, I think, the earlier X-Men series when Alpha Flight was introduced, as well as the Alpha Flight run 1 through 29 from the 80s, and then a couple Marvel team-ups and like Alpha Flight X-Men crossover miniseries from the later 80s. So cool stuff. I am looking forward to it. I will definitely be picking it up. Regardless of whether you think John Byrne is a jerk or not, I think his art style is very cool, and you know, he has a large imprint on comics from late 70s through, you know, late 80s. That kind of time period was very, he had a large presence, and his style was very well known and reflected in a lot of other people's work. On this side, we have Spider-Gwen Volume 1. This is the deluxe hardcover collecting the first... Oh, okay. So this collects the Edge of Spider-Verse #2, which is where Spider-Gwen appeared, as well as the first Spider-Gwen series 1 through 5, and then the second Spider-Gwen series 1 through 6 when it was renumbered with the all different Marvel launch. This is all written by Jason Latour, who I know mostly from his artwork on, oh my god, not Inglourious Bastards, Southern Bastards. I was going to say Somebody Bastards. But he's a great artist. And I've heard good things about this, so I'm excited to read it. And then Robbie Rodriguez and Chris Visions, or Visiones? That's a weird name. Chris Visions, maybe. So that's going to be a cool collection. I'll pick it up probably just because I'm curious about it. There's also going to be a new printing of Wolverine Old Man Logan. This is going to be a deluxe hardcover of that story. The Wolverine 66 through 72, so about a 7-issue run. Collecting the Mark Millar story with Steve McNiven, the creative team behind Civil War. But this is like a totally different, pretty well-known story where it's like Logan as obviously an older man and kind of living in this like dystopian future when the bad guys have taken over. So that'll be kind of cool to pick up. I have never read it, so I'll probably grab that. There's also going to be a Darth Vader Volume 2 hardcover. Very cool. I have the Darth Vader Volume 1 sitting behind me, and I'm excited to get more of these collected Star Wars books. And then the rest of this stuff, I believe, is all trade paperbacks, which is kind of cool, but not exactly my jam. So, yeah, Marvel, you know, I have some real problems with the way that they are doing things, but I am still looking forward to a lot of the things that they're putting out. So it's one of those, like, I'm not really happy with a lot of the way that they're doing stuff, but I keep pouring money into them, so I guess I can't really complain that much. Yeah, I am going to be getting a lot of these different things, and like I said, I'm going to talk about Marvel a little bit more in the coming kind of days when I do my bigger video on their whole bag. Alright, and as per usual, let's get right back into the book. We're going to skip right ahead into the comics and graphic novel section and just start going through and seeing what's interesting in here. So let's check it out. Alright, let's stop for a moment on Fantagraphics, one of my favorite publishers. There's some neat stuff in here, lots of different, like, duck stories. if you're into the Carl Banks stuff, Peanuts, all those kind of good things. But what I wanted to recommend or look at is this tiny one up here, which is the Fantagraphics Studio Edition Hal Foster's Prince Valiant. I'm probably not going to get this, but I think it's really cool. It's a 17 by 23 and a quarter inch hardcover version of the original artwork scanned from Hal Foster's Prince Valiant series. It says, this is a 192-page collection scanned from his original pages, printed in full color. Each page is so rare that the sum total of the original art reprinted in this book would likely cost millions. From his first Prince Valiant page to his very last, the public will be treated to a selection of some of the most iconic and beautiful comic art ever made. So I think that's very cool, you know, like Fantagraphics getting into the artist edition game, which is neat. I mean, IDW does an awesome job of it. There's a couple different companies that do good jobs of it, and I would love to see Fantagraphics do some of them, because some of the properties that Fantagraphics works with are just awesome. You know, including gosh, I can't even believe, I mean, it's $175. It's very expensive. It's a very expensive book, and you can't get Fantagraphics books at, like, big percentages off anywhere. Not like you can with Marvel and DC, so that's going to be, like, you know, you're going to be paying $140, $150 or something for it. Like, it's not cheap. But to see original Hal Foster artwork on that scale, that's just incredible. That's amazing. I mean, he's such a legendary graphic artist, and yeah, I just think that's a really cool thing to mention. I don't think I'm going to be getting it. Obviously, it's quite expensive, and it's not going to be like a story or anything like some of the artist editions. It's just going to be a selection of art from his many years doing the strip. So, yeah, Fantagraphics, you know, they print the Prince Valiant stuff, the like version, the Sunday strip versions anyway. So, a very neat thing, but probably in a very select group of collectors' price range. Whew, so I gotta say, not a lot that looked interesting to me in there. I'm sure there would be things that are interesting to other people. You know, if you guys saw anything while I was flipping through, if you watch this video in like slow motion or something, please let me know if you found some interesting stuff in there. But man, apart from the couple that I stopped on, not a lot for me personally in this previous catalog. That's okay. I mean, you know, different months are better than others, but yeah, that's basically it for the previews. Flippage, a little bit disappointing. I was hoping to see maybe some more different cool stuff back there, but as per usual, it looks like a lot of independent stuff and busty women kind of magazines. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching my flip through. I'll be back next month with another flip through, as I am every month. And look out for a video soon talking about my thoughts on DC and Marvel and their direction, as well as a number of other reviews that I am currently finishing reading the books for. So I'll have a bunch of those coming up in the not too distant future. If you liked this content, please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you disliked it. Leave me comments below about what kind of things you're looking forward to, as well as checking out any of my social media links in the description and my podcast, Get a Cat, Get a Horse, which is also hosted as a video on my YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing what's coming out in the coming months, and I'll see you again in a couple days. Peace out.